And joining us now is Matthew RJ Brodsky, president of Red Axe Strategies and chair of the American Center for Counterterrorism. Matthew, let's talk about this. The ethics questions around this plane have been there from the start, but now there are security questions too. Where do we begin?
Well, so we have a flying palace, a billboard, if you have it, that says that foreign money has a reserved place in American foreign policy. And it's unfortunately, as a Republican, we've always railed against the Obama administration and the Biden administration for their cozying up to Qatar. But Qatar has really figured out how to play the influence game in the United States and how to go directly after the right-wing ecosystem. And as we've seen from the Trump administration, it's very unfortunate to say that there's an entire corruption architecture in which private businesses are cutting in parts of the Trump family, even whether it's a business that's run by Don Jr., whether you're talking about the Witkoffs, is Qatar understands it can buy American influence, and they've really put attention into that. And that's aside from the billions of dollars that they've spent on our universities in America, cranking out the kind of protests that we've seen since October 7th. So it's a major, major problem. And I think most real thinking Americans should realize that we're going to need a party that's not completely bought by Qatar and other foreign interests in the White House soon.
Right. We're going to discuss that a little bit more shortly. But I do want to talk about the fact, that we're seeing Qatar simultaneously gift Trump his Air Force One, mediating the U.S.-Iran peace talks, hosting Hamas leadership. What does this tell us about Washington's relationship with Doha that the U.S. president is flying around in a Qatari jet while all of that is happening simultaneously?
I mean, it says we're open for business. The same thing with having Qatar and Pakistan lead negotiations with Iran. I think before that was announced, you'd have a real hard time in the United States finding regular Americans who would say, yeah, Qatar and Pakistan are definitely going to have America's interest at heart. So it's a really big problem. And it's really obvious, unfortunately, with this administration, because Trump speaks so glowingly about Qatar. We can look back, I think it was 2017 when Trump read from the White House that Qatar has been a really big state sponsor of terrorism. But you can see that he was reading that off of prepared remarks, which is these are the things that the arms of our government normally realize a president should say. And now we actually see how he truly feels. It's the glowing comments he's made about Qatar, about Pakistan, ever since receiving the airplane, but even before then, is staggering compared to the treatment of an actual wartime ally like Israel, who many of us think he's basically stabbed in the back.
Right. I want to talk about that even more. But first, let's just break this down. U.S. President Donald Trump reportedly made roughly $300 million from Gulf states last year, according to a new report from the Wall Street Journal. And the way that he made this money raises some very serious questions. Stick with us, Matthew. We're going to come right back to you. $263 million came from selling half his stake in a crypto venture called World Liberty Financial to an entity backed by a top UAE royal. The rest came from Middle Eastern developers building Trump-branded towers and golf courses across the region. And on top of that, over $1.4 billion in total crypto earnings, including $635 million from his own Trump-branded meme coin, even as an estimated 764,000 small investors lost money on that same token. These are the same Gulf states that Trump is negotiating peace deals with, launching wars near, and accepting a presidential aircraft from. The White House says that there's no conflict of interest here, though. The numbers certainly tell a rather different story. You could say, Matthew, I want to turn back to you on this. You said you're a Republican, and, this is something that you once accused the Democrats of being guilty of. We're looking at a very different scenario here. My question for you is whether or not you think the American public is looking at these numbers, is looking at these reports, is looking at this new jet with a questioning eye.
I don't know that they are yet. People who are heavily involved in politics certainly are. Obviously, this makes every hair on my neck stand on end, and it does a lot of other people. But the problem with these kind of financial deals is that it's incredibly difficult to break down. Like, you did a really good job right there, but it can only skim the surface. There are other deals apparently with Lutnick, who's a part of the administration, in Kazakhstan coming up. There are several things that require someone to dig into. This shell company works with that shell company, which has this level of ownership from this son of the president or this son of Witkoff. And so it's a difficult thing for people to track. And that's very unfortunate, because we used to throw a fit when it came to, I would call a very untalented artist, Hunter Biden, selling paintings for millions, which is like the most obvious of money laundering schemes you could ever see. That pales in comparison to what we're seeing, especially when you have Gulf monarchies with such a huge amount of money at their disposal, willing to buy influence. And again, we see this now with Qatar as well, with all of a sudden we're going to do favors as America to Erdogan as he's threatening to invade Israel, even as he still hosts Russian military assets. It's really sending a bad signal. I wish Americans were paying attention to it more, because there's an old saying that everyone knows: follow the money. Well, here you can follow the money. It might take a while, but it's getting back to foreign actors and adversaries who certainly don't have our interests at heart.
All right, Matthew Brodsky, very enlightening conversation I think that we just had. Thank you so much for joining us. We could continue this, certainly, if we had more time.
Thank you.
Now, speaking of Turkey, not long ago, Erdogan